All right, guys, today we're going to talk about the bowline. It's definitely the most important knot that you need to know how to tie before you get to ranger school. You're going to tie it probably no less than 10,000 times while you're there. I don't really know if that's much of an exaggeration. So if you haven't heard about it, you'll become what they call the spaghetti monster. Anything you get issued from the RIs or ranger school, it gets tied off to your person with 550 cord. And then that gets tied, so either to your ruck or to your person, you're going to use the bowline knot to tie that piece of equipment off. And it's a ton of stuff. So AT4s, claymores, grenade bodies, pouches, your weapon system, your NVGs, maps even. So like everything is tied off to your body and you use the bowline. So before I send people to school, I like to tell them that they need to learn this knot. They need to be so comfortable with it they can tie it with their eyes closed. And I mean that literally in the sense that it's going to be pitch black at night. You're going to be out on a patrol. You're going to be leaving the ORP. You're going to be going to conduct an ambush, and you've got the claymore in your bag, and you've got to give it to somebody on security squad because they need to place their claymores out on security squad. And it's going to be pitch black. You've got to be able to untie this knot from your rucksack and then retie it onto their person without seeing what you're doing, because you can't just turn flashlights on at ranger school. So you need to be so comfortable that your hands just tie the knot and you don't have to think about, oh, what's the next step? Where do I need to do this? So practice this knot a ton before you go. It's going to help you out in the long run, I promise. So I know there's 100 ways to tie a bowline knot. I'm only going to talk about 2 here today. It's the way that I know how to tie it, and I don't even know if there's a name for it. If you know of a name, just comment it in the comments, and I guess then I'll know a name. And then the bunny around the tree method is the only other way that I've really seen people do it. I know I've heard of an Arby's hat method, but I don't know that method. I only know these 2. One of these 2, if you can figure out one of the 2, that's going to work for you almost in all cases. So the first method we'll talk about is the bunny around the tree method. So you've got your running end, you got your standing end of the rope. What you want to do is you want to make a P right here. You're going to pinch that. Oh, sorry, I went the wrong way. You're going to make your P here. You've got your running end running over top of the standing end, and pinch that there so that that doesn't go anywhere. This little end right here becomes your bunny. So you'll see the bunny's going to come out of his hole. He's going to come around his tree, which is this rope here, and he's going to go back in his hole. And once he goes back in his hole, then you're just going to squeeze these 2 together, hold them tight right here. And then you're going to pull this end tight. That's the bowline. So one more time. Running in, standing in. Bunny is going to come out of his hole. He's going to come around the tree and back in his hole. And we're going to squeeze these 2 pieces together right here. That's a bowline. Now, the other way I know how to do this, my method, so what you do is you, same thing, standing in or running in on your left-hand side, standing in on your right, you're going to take your hand with your thumb pointed towards you, and you're going to grab the rope like this. And then you're just going to flip it up and over, creating a bite in this rope. Just like that. So then, with this bite, pinch this, like where the 2 ropes cross right here, pinch that. You're going to reach down through the loop and pull up another bite. So it's going to look like that. Once you have this, you're going to take the running end of the rope, you're going to pass it through this bite, and you're going to fold it up on itself like this. You're going to hold these 2 tight, then you're going to pull on the standing end. That's the bowline. Now, I really like this method because it's super fast for me to tie. I can just whip it out really quick, and I got a bowline. We'll tie it one more time really slow. So running in, standing in, thumb towards you, loop up and around, pinch right here, reach down, pull out a bite. Through the bite, you're going to pass the running end, fold it over back on itself, pull the standing end. Super fast knot to tie. I can do it with my eyes closed. That's why I like this method, because I don't have to pass an end through anything. You can do it all by feel. So you can just feel it, pull. I really like this method personally, but I know everybody kind of ties this knot differently. Some things click a little better in their brain. One big thing to note with the bowline is a lot of times when people go to tie this, they've got it perfect in the air. They can tie it 100 times out of 100 when they're tying the knot in the air. But for some reason, once they go to tie this knot like around something, it causes them a lot of fits. Like the idea of just like tying something in that loop just like crucifies them. So it doesn't change the knot at all. All you got to do is the same thing. No matter what method you're using, is you pass it around the thing you're trying to tie it through, right? This could be a tree, this could be a hole in your rucksack, a hole in your flick. Same concept. Running in left, standing in right. Thumb towards you, up and around. Pull out a bite. Pass the end through the bite. Pull tight. Now you've secured an anchor to whatever you're trying to secure it for, which is the point of a bowline knot, is an anchor knot. Works the same way with the other method. Running in through. If I could remember how to tie it. The bunny is going to come out of its hole, around the tree, back in its hole. You're going to pull on the standing end. Doesn't change anything. The knot is still there. Now, one key thing to know about the bowline is it has to have a safety knot. So you get your bowline tied. It looks great. You have to have a minimum of 4 inches here, which we've got plenty, right? We've got all kinds of it. The reason why you want more than 4 inches is because you have to tie an overhand safety knot right here, because the way this knot like really works is it's 2 locking bars. So you have a locking bar here passing over the standing end, and that locks it into place. So once tension is put on the knot, that locking bar pulls on this standing end and it locks that in place. Same time, as you put tension on it, you've got this locking bar over top putting tension on your actual loop. Now the way we loosen this knot is you just push these locking bars down and away from the center of the knot, and see how loose it comes, like so fast. So one way to prevent the knot from loosening up and coming untied on you is you tie an overhand safety knot. You've all been tying this since you learned to tie your shoes, but for some reason this gives people a lot of problems. All you're going to do is wrap, so you have the running end coming out of the top of the knot, and then you have your loop. You're going to wrap the running end completely around the loop and itself on the running end of the knot. And you're going to create this little hole here. You're going to pass it up and through, which becomes like a pretzel knot. You can see the pretzel here. And you're just going to dress that pretzel knot down on top of the bowline locking bar. And then after your safety knot, you have to have 4 inches of pigtail here. Now the common problem you see with the safety knot when people tie this is they tie a half hitch. So they come around and they don't pass it. So they're coming over this one, but not over this one again. So they're coming over and they're coming through this way, and then they're pulling up, and you can see that that just forms a half hitch on the loop. One key way that you can check if you've got the right knot or not is you see how this knot is, the rope is extending out perpendicular to the knot itself. It's like coming out the side. That's how you know you're wrong and you've got a half hitch. Just finish it up, and instead of coming through just the loop. You're going to come through both of them, and you're going to trap the actual knot here. Once you got the actual knot trapped, again, you're going to make that pretzel knot or the granny knot. You're going to come tight. And you'll know you're right if the running end of the rope is following the rope you're trying to secure it to. Because you tie more than a safety knot on just the Bowline, you know, it's tied on the hip rappel seat and a lot of other knots. So, but the safety knot is the same. If the running end is following the same path as the rope you're trying to safety around, you know you did it right. That's an overhand safety. Key things on this one, guys, are practice. Practice, practice, practice. A lot of times, as you'll see people start to do this knot, they won't leave themselves enough tail. So they have their Bowline, looks great, but you can't tie a safety knot. That's not enough tail to tie a safety knot. Another huge thing is guys don't really know how to control the size of their loop on the Bowline. So sometimes their loop will be this big, and that's might be right for some circumstances, but it might be wrong for others. So just tie it, get more comfortable with the knot, and you'll figure out exactly like at what point doing what makes the knot different. So that's the two methods for the Bowline. Like I said, I highly, highly, highly recommend you have this knot down. You need to be able to do this knot without even thinking about it. And I promise you, if you show up to Ranger School and you can tie the Bowline that comfortably, you are going to be an asset, because most of your peers are probably not going to learn this knot as comfortably as you will have learned it. So make yourself an asset, go to Ranger School and be a part of the team, bring something to the table. And if you can tie the Bowline this way and you know it so well that you can teach it to everybody else, I promise you, you will be an asset. Thanks for watching, guys. This was the Bowline.